Morning, y'all. Happy Wednesday. Pinball here. Hope everybody had a good time in the live stream last night. So, now let's get started. Some of y'all have asked for this topic, and this one's going to take a few days to go over. So it'll be a 3, maybe a 4-part series. I'm not going to be able to get super deep into it just because of what's possible to do in a video, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Okay. What I want to discuss in this series is interrogation. Okay. In case some of you are new to the channel, I'm an ex-Army interrogator. It goes back quite a few years since I practiced my trade in a military scenario, but the skills I learned 30 years ago have served me quite well throughout both my personal and my professional life. I'll never forget what the E7 who ran the training class at Fort Huachuca said on the first day of class. He goes, now, you got to remember, we're all, most of us at least, were 20-somethings at the time. But what he had said to us is, if you ever have a problem getting a date, you won't after this class, okay? It was a joke, but it really turned out to be true, okay? Now, interrogation school was a 13-week course, and it was very intense, okay? Classrooms and field exercises were part of training, okay? This was in the mid-'80s. The Cold War was still going on, and for 13 weeks, we lived the scenario that World War III had started, and it was the U.S. versus the Soviet Union and Eastern Bloc countries, okay? I was trained as a Czech linguist, and since the former Czechoslovakia was a Soviet satellite country, I had to do interrogations in both English and in Czech. I spoke a little French back from high school days, okay, and one time I actually had to try to translate an interrogation from Czech to French, okay. That was very difficult, and I was not very successful, okay. High school French only gets you so far. Our instructors were mostly Vietnam vets who had actually interrogated VC and NVA in country. So yeah, our training was very thorough, very intense, and very realistic, okay? Obviously, World War III never happened, and so my duties eventually wound up working with the FBI and the DEA, training them how to deal with drug smugglers, and then training tankers in the 3rd Armored Cav on how to handle POWs upon capture. So for 2.5 years, I was either playing a drug smuggler or a Soviet soldier, okay? So how is this possibly a prepper topic, okay? Well, let me give you a few scenarios real quick, okay? Let's kind of go here. You're at your bug out location, and all of a sudden somebody walks onto your property. He's disheveled and dirty, but he's also armed, okay? He's not approaching as a threat, but as someone who's hungry. What do you do, okay? Let's try this one. You're out patrolling your property and come across an antagonist, we'll just call him that. He's alone, but he's definitely a threat. He moves, you fire a warning shot, he stops. What do you do next, okay? Maybe this one. Shit has really hit the fan. A group of 3 men come and start to attack you at your property. A short firefight ensues. 2 of the guys scatter, but one of them's injured, and they left him there. What do you do? Okay. Every one of these scenarios is possible. None of them's really far-fetched either. Okay. Do you know what to do with each one of them? Now, sorry, this isn't Hollywood. You can't just shoot them and then, and you can't just let them go. All right. They all have intelligence they've gathered on you, and that doesn't bode well for you. However, they all have intelligence that can be very beneficial to you. The question is, how are you going to get it? Okay. This is when your interrogation skills come into play. Now, not everyone in your group is going to be cut out to be an interrogator. You can't just start asking questions and expect answers. Sure, occasionally it's that easy, but rarely, okay? We used to call him a Santa Claus in the interrogation world. I mean, somebody that just kind of blurted everybody out. Merry Christmas, he just gave you all your presents, okay? In order to be successful at an interrogation, you must have the ability to play various characters, to be a chameleon, okay? You also must be a wordsmith. You must not be intimidated by other people. You have to have a quick wit, and you have to have self-confidence, okay? Think of the best salesman you've ever bought something from. I don't care if it's a washer, a dryer, a car, whatever, your house, okay? The best salesman that you ever bought something from. Now double his skills, okay? A salesman has something that you as a buyer want. In interrogation, you have little, if anything, to offer your source. yet you still need to make the sale. You have to get him to pay, okay? And he's basically getting very little, if anything, in return, okay? So how do you do it, okay? The interrogation process involves the screening of sources for interrogation and the use of interrogation techniques and procedures. Both screening and interrogation involve complex interpersonal skills, and many aspects of your performance are going to be extremely subjective, okay? Each screening and interrogation is unique because of the interaction between the interrogator and the source, okay? My personality and experiences that I can draw from are completely different than yours. Hence, your interrogation and mine will never look the same. That's why I said earlier, this is very difficult to kind of go into really deep, because how I do things and how you do things, just the way our minds work, are going to be completely different. So this is a hell of a lot more detailed than what people think, okay? This isn't Hollywood, all right? It's not, oh, boom, I spend 30 seconds asking the guy questions, he freaks out, answers, and starts spilling his guts all over the place. It doesn't work that way in the real world, okay? Now, there are actually 5 different interrogation phases, okay? Planning and preparation, approach, questioning, termination, and reporting, your action plan, okay? So I'm going to go over each one and explain the who, what, when, where, and why of each one. Okay. All right. So planning and preparation, all right? And this is how you basically get everything started, the scenario that which you've just found yourself in, okay? And most of the time you don't plan to all of a sudden have a source to get information from. It just kind of lands in your lap somehow, okay? But first of all, the person that's going to be interrogating your quote-unquote prisoner will have never met the source, the prisoner, okay, before the actual interrogation. So if you are the one that apprehends the source, you will not be the interrogator, okay? Sorry, this isn't Hollywood. This isn't some cop show, where the cop goes in, catches him, and then they're sitting at a table and he's pounding on the table and says, "You're going to tell me?" No, it doesn't work that way in the real world, okay? You have no authority at this point. I mean, cop versus criminal, big deal, all right? The reason for this is the interrogator has to be a person of authority, okay? Someone who's able to make a decision about your source and his future, okay? What's going to happen with him when you're done, all right? A sentry is not going to have this kind of authority, so everybody needs to play their part, okay? And I don't care if this is all made up, okay? Obviously everybody's going to be pulling some sort of guard duty sometime, and if it happens to be my day on guard duty and I'm the one that captures the guy, I'm not going to be the one interrogating him, because in the prisoner's eyes, I'm just a lowly guard, okay? The interrogator needs to be up here, okay? This is the first step in your PSYOPs, okay? Psychological operations. The sentry's now captured the source and has moved him to a specific location predetermined by your group as to where you will hold prisoners. Your interrogator may go into that holding area, but will never speak to the source or even acknowledge him, okay? Not at this point. Sometimes it may be a good idea to kind of role play a little bit here, where the interrogator goes in, depending on the source again, and maybe berate the guard a little bit, tie your shoes, or where the hell's your weapon, or something like this, just to show that he's the authority, okay? Because you're being watched, so you're kind of playing a game here. The interrogator must always be treated as a person of authority, even if it's only a charade, okay? While in holding, the guard is going to monitor the source's behavior, his attitude, his demeanor, whether he's asking for things, whether he's quiet, whatever. Okay, he's monitoring this source. However, the guard will not engage in any manner. This is counterproductive to gathering intel. The only thing the guard is going to do is observe. Even if the source has a minor injury, no help is given. If it's serious, then help for sure, okay? A dead source is useless. But the guard's also going to have taken from the source anything on the source's person that could be valuable information or is dangerous. Now, obviously, if the guy's got weapons on him, you're going to disarm him, okay? And obviously, you are going to, what's the word I'm looking for here? Restrain him in some way, shape, or form. Zip ties will probably be your best option here, okay? But that also means get his wallet, get his shoelaces, get his belt, thoroughly search the source. Here's a good one, especially the crotch area, okay? I can't tell you how many soldiers I failed in prisoner handling for not checking my crotch, where I carried a .45. And I will never forget a first sergeant standing in front of his entire company with his arms crossed like this going, that's how you search a prisoner. And I looked at my LT, and my LT just nodded his head and then kind of shook his head, and he's like, yeah, go ahead. And I pulled a pistol out of my crotch, and I was just like, top, boom, you're dead. And the whole company was just stunned. It's like their main authority figure had just completely searched me and stood up there like, Billy Badass. And, here at the time, I think I was a Spec 4, here this little specialist had just, shown him up. Okay. And no, I didn't get in trouble for it. That was my job. All right. Anything and everything that you can get from that source is valuable information that can be used to break him, used to get him to answer questions. Okay. Is his magazine half empty? Why? Is his knife dull? Why? Does he have pictures of his wife, of his girlfriend? Both. Okay. Kids? Any sort of ID? Driver's license? CDL? CCW? All of that's important. It tells the interrogator things he needs to know on how to break the source. In other words, to get him to answer questions. Okay. It's information that I have that he doesn't have to tell me. I already know. Okay. Any information you have before a conversation can be used against them in questioning by someone skilled at doing so. Okay. So that's where I'm going to stop for today. Tomorrow, I'm going to get into the initial contact between the interrogator and the source and how things go from there. So tune in tomorrow. Pinball out.